Hey guys, welcome back to the Red Circle Podcast with your hosts Vanessa and Ed.
Ed, I'm here.
He's here.
I don't have any spirit fingers. I just
Or
have thumbs
neon
up.
nails.
Whoa, I
Have
wonder
my
if they
nails
go in
did.
the dark.
No.
Is it only 2?
Yeah, and then I have 2 with different designs.
Oh, is that a thing?
It's very much a thing.
Okay. I
There's
don't know.
people that do different designs on every nail,
Really?
but that's expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
I
I
don't
like
know.
getting my nails did. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's the thing.
In the
That's the
zombie
thing.
apocalypse, I need to have a nail lady
Hmm.
on my team.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
So we got jobs, guys.
Yeah.
So if you want some bread, you want to get in a bread line.
We will provide
You want some of our chicken
protection
eggs. You
and
want some of our eggs. You gotta come over here
Yeah,
and do
but
Vanessa's
you
nails.
gotta know how to do nails very good.
Yeah, and each one differently.
Yeah.
If you want high quality.
Yeah,
If you want
exactly.
like a whole dozen eggs.
One egg per nail.
There you go.
There we go. We figured it out.
That's the deal. Yep. Okay. So you had a story you were telling me about.
Yeah.
And it's
So
something local. It's local news,
Yeah.
which is kind of strange, but it
Mhm.
should be national news.
it really should. They're not talking about what's going on at the border. We're in El Paso, Texas. We're in a border city. And so on the other side of our border is Juarez in Mexico.
Yeah, J-Town.
J-Town.
It's our
And
sister city. It
it is.
literally is connected to El Paso. Like you could throw a rock.
and hit Juarez.
Yeah.
You drive down the freeway and you see more of Juarez than you do America at some parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it is our sister city. You know, I
Mhm.
feel really bad for what's going on in Juarez right now
Mhm.
with all the migrants coming up. There's there's a group of Venezuelans that came up. I'm not generalizing that Venezuelans are bad.
Mhm.
I actually have a friend that's Venezuelan.
Mm.
She's amazing. Her dad's amazing. Anyways,
It sounds very much like when somebody calls you a racist and you're
I
like,
know.
I got a black friend.
friends.
I've got a black friend.
I've got a black friend, so I'm not racist.
That's so dumb.
But like, you know, like it's weird to anyways, there's a very violent group of Venezuelans here right now in
Mhm.
Juarez.
Are they like that MS-13
No,
guys?
I don't know about that. But instead of saying where they're from, they're saying that they're from South and Central America. Like
Mm.
they're trying to say that it's not from Mexico. It's not Mexicans because it really isn't. It's a lot of people coming up from all over the place.
Yeah. Most of the people that are immigrating into the United States are immigrating illegally that are, I guess we wouldn't call it immigration or border jumping, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
are not from Mexico.
No, they're from other places in South Central America.
Yeah.
But so
Mexicans know how to get here
yeah,
if they want to
yeah,
without having to it's like
yeah.
that's the thing. You could get a green card or you can get a visa. We're
Mhm.
pretty easy for people from
Yeah,
Mexico.
and for getting like work visas and different things, a
It's
lot
just a
of people
visitor
work
visa,
here.
you
Even
know
a
what I mean?
visitor,
Like a
yeah.
vacation. I don't know what they call it. A visitor. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, I know a lot of people.
Yeah,
They constantly come back
I
and
went to
forth.
school with a lot of kids that lived in Juarez.
Yeah, all
You
the
know,
time.
like that, because we're from here. Like it's different than people really think.
Mhm.
So this group of people, they rushed our border like 2 weeks ago.
I saw that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they violently
They were
pushed
throwing
through.
rocks at the people and
Yes.
stuff.
Violently pushed through the Mexico side and then got to the America side. And
Yeah.
they had to like defend our border. But there's places where they can get around it because it's not
Hmm.
anyways.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely not like right at the border.
yeah.
It's more like you have to go further
You have
east
to
or
go
west.
further down. Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
That's why the fence was such a big deal.
And
And it's because
imagine
these
if we
people that
didn't
have
it.
land,
Yes.
a bunch of landowners, and they just have people constantly crossing
Yeah.
over.
Oh yeah.
you know,
There's landowners
stealing
that are
stuff from
on
their
the
place.
border in Texas and Arizona and New Mexico. And there's parts of the border that do not have fence. And people can just walk over. And it's a lot of farmland, like you were saying. And
Mhm.
people won't always steal, but people that are desperate will do desperate things. Like if
Mhm.
you
Like
haven't
if
had
you're
water,
starving,
if
yeah.
you haven't had food. My grandma-in-law, Jacob's grandma, she's
Mhm.
passed away now. She used to live in Arizona and she had a farm in Arizona. It's really close to the border. And she would have a hose out by the street so that people could drink from the hose if they needed to because
Mhm.
it's a really treacherous part of the desert. And if people came to the door, she would give them sandwiches. She would make food for them because it's a really treacherous part of the desert. And it's interesting when people talk about all this border stuff and how there's so much hate from America. People don't want people dying.
Yeah, nobody does.
Nobody wants people dying. We just want people to come over legally. That's literally it. That's it. Come. Just come legally.
Yeah. And I agree that the path to legal immigration is very difficult.
It's expensive. It's
It
difficult.
takes forever.
It does. And it shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we want the people to come over here. The other thing that we need to do is we need to bring back the working visa for the farmers. And ironically, today is Cesar Chavez Day.
Is it? Interesting.
And most Mexican Americans or Latinos, whatever you want to call it.
Latinos, not Latinx. We don't like that, okay?
Yeah, whatever.
It's not a thing.
Yeah, nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. You white Karens, keep it to yourself.
Karen, stop it.
Keep Latinx to yourself.
Yeah, give it to yourself. We don't like it.
But most
Cesar
Latinos and Mexicans, you know, they look at Cesar Chavez as like a hero. But a lot of El Pasoans hate Cesar Chavez.
Yes.
And it's because Cesar Chavez came and ruined El Paso's economy.
Yes.
So he came here. El Paso used to be the textile hub in the United States, like the biggest textile city in the United States. We had Farah, where they would make Levi Strauss. We had we made Wranglers here. We made custom women's clothing. Most of all of the disco era clothing all came from out of El Paso.
Isn't that cool?
My wife's grandpa owned a big clothing textile company here.
Yeah.
And they would make high-end clothes that they would ship to, like, you know, Great Britain and stuff. And it was all that disco type stuff. And Cesar Chavez came here from California and started the movement to unionize the factory workers. And Farah was like paying $14 an hour, $10 an hour back then in the 70s. And they were still trying to unionize them. You know, it's almost like that mafia thing.
Yes.
And once they unionized all these different factories, the business owners closed up and moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you know where they went? They went to Juarez or they went to China. And that's it. That was the end of it. That was the end of it. And they were like, they were sad to go, but they were like, we're not going to unionize and we're not going to do it.
They're making it impossible to do business.
And it's just, you're adding, and it was almost like a principle to them as well, that they were adding an extra fee to doing business there's no benefit to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My grandma worked at one of the clothing factories. She made jeans. So I wonder if it was Levi. That's my mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she made good money.
Everybody that was there, it was that industry that you could have one job.
Yes.
Work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And you could buy a house, you could have a car, you know, like you could pay your bills and you could go to college, you could do everything just from this job.
Yes.
And that destroyed El Paso's economy. After they left, we don't have any major industry in El Paso anymore. Like the biggest industry in El Paso is government.
Yes, that's true.
Which all the jobs in El Paso are government, medical, or Walmart.
Well, and the violence. That's true. The violence that he didn't do himself, Cesar Chavez, but he was integral in making happen. And he was against, and people don't know this, he was very against illegals coming in because he didn't want them to saturate a market and like make it like, you know, the wages less. And people don't know that too, which is interesting.
Yeah, he was anti-immigration.
Yeah, super anti-immigration in a violent way, which is terrible.
Yeah, so I think the solution is proper immigration. I think the solution is tariffs in the United States. Like I was all for the tariffs. From all the other countries.
Yeah, it's a smart thing to do so we don't price ourselves out.
Yeah, I think that now we're kind of already broken, you know, like if we could take most of the manufacturing from China to Mexico, at least that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff's happening in Mexico right now that people are not even paying attention to. I am not prepared to talk about it, but there's talks of them getting into bed with Brazil, China, Russia, India, Iran, all these countries. And if that happens, hold on to your butts. Because Mexico is kind of like, I don't know what you would call it, like that. It's the franchise of America.
Oh,
You know what I
okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Like we outsource everything, a lot of stuff to Mexico.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But Mexico is being taken over by the cartel.
Oh, yeah.
And it is getting bad. Like,
And the cartel is in bed with China.
that's
So
the
that
problem. It
doesn't
used to
surprise
be
me.
in bed with the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And now, for whatever reason, they've got in bed with China.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with China that China doesn't realize, and you know how they had this whole Beltway initiative in China to go, because they wanted to bring back a Beltway that they had back in like the Chinese dynasty era, where they would do the Silk Road or whatever you want to call it. And so they started building these relationships and loaning all this money to all these countries. And the problem is that China doesn't have a military that can push around other countries like America can. They are not multinational.
Yeah.
They're just stuck there in their little, right there, and that's it. They can't influence other countries like America can. They're stuck. They would have to either go through India, or in the ocean, which would go after America.
Yeah, because we have control of the ocean.
Yeah. And because of that, they really can't go anywhere.
Yeah. But their influence is money.
Yes. Yeah. And so what they're doing is they're loaning all these countries, they loan them trillions of yen or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yen or yuan, I forget which one. One's Japan and one's China. And all these African countries, all these Middle Eastern countries are not paying them back.
Yeah, because they can't. Yeah. And a lot of what they invested in when they loan them money is infrastructure, like ports and different things like that. And so, and they knew that they were going to be defaulting on these loans. So now China owns those little pieces, and China's buying up land in America too.
Yeah, yeah. The problem is that a lot of African countries are telling China to go to hell.
Really?
Yeah. So, because they don't have a stick.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do?
What are they gonna do?
Because America has a stick.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we have a stick. Like, we'll go and invade your country. We've proven it, like, over and over again. Not that I'm for it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm not for nation building.
Yeah.
But America is kind of like a Viking.
Yeah.
We're like pillaging.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't like it, but that's what's been going on.
Yeah.
So I think that the solution that China tried to be like America, they can't. They don't have the population, but the problem is they're getting so desperate. Mm-hmm. The only real solution that China has is this BRICS initiative. Mm-hmm. If they can get enough countries on their side, because what's America doing? Like, I had a Zoom call today with a guy from India. Mm-hmm. Because anytime you need technical support, it's India. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Super nice guy. Smart kid.
Yeah.
Smart kid. We were talking politics.
Whoa. American politics?
American politics. And then I wanted to know his viewpoint on stuff over there.
Yeah. Oh, you got to tell me about that later. Yeah, that's cool.
It was fascinating. And I asked him, I said, and I started talking to him. I was like, yeah, a bunch of my friends want to invest in India, but you guys don't let outside investors come in. Mm-hmm. And then you don't even invest in trade. Mm-hmm. I said, the only thing that you guys build manufacturing plants, but for products that you want to remain in India. Mm-hmm. You guys don't want any money coming out of India. You want everything in India.
What did he
say? And he was like, how did you know that? And I was like, I'm smart. I ain't no fool. Like, not all us Americans are it's dumb. I almost said the word, And, but because the depiction of Americans are always that we're dumb.
Yeah. Hillbillies with lots of guns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're going to need some hillbillies.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need some rednecks.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need some roughnecks.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need some good old boys. Some, what's that Dukes of Hazzard? Just a good old boy.
Those are my favorite kind of people.
Never meaning no harm.
Yeah.
Right? You got to give that. Never meaning no harm.
Oh my God.
Just a good old boy. Or the Beverly Hillbillies, right?
Yes. That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's true,
But
though.
I think that because the good old boys are the ones that are going to save America.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
The good old boys are going to save America. Because
Yeah.
that's one thing I told this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him, I was like, because their inflation was really bad. That's where the conversation went.
Mm.
I asked him, I said, how's your inflation? He's like, it's bad. And I said, yeah. I said, America's really pushing the inflation around the world. I said, and because we're able to increase our interest rates, so it's not as bad here as it is in all the rest of the world. And he's like, you're right. And I told him, I said, and that's why a lot of countries are trying to go on a new currency.
Mm.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, I know. And I was like, I was surprised that India went with China. And he's like, yeah, me too. He's like, we hate Chinese people.
He said that?
Yeah.
Did you ask why, or like get any insight as to why?
Because the Chinese people have always like oppressed their people. They always look down on them. And then it's a racial thing, straight racial.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like even Japanese and Chinese people hate each other. They don't like each other,
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So, but it's nationalism.
Oh, 1,000,000%. I mean, here in America or in our continent, like Canadians are rude to Americans. Our video editor was in Toronto, remember? And he was like, they're super, like, they find out you're American, they're so mean to us.
Good.
And then the way that people in America treat people in Mexico, like it's just all, it's when somebody is an other, whatever it is.
And I love Mexican people.
I know.
People are stupid to be mean to Mexican
I
people.
know.
And then Mexican people are the best. Like they're
fun.
They are the best.
The best.
They are the best.
I get it hard sometimes though because I am brown and I look like I should speak Spanish.
You should.
And I don't speak Spanish.
Yo sabes más español.
Sí, that is true.
Yeah, you guys wouldn't know, but I can.
Yeah,
I can get down.
Yeah, I can. I had a restaurant, so
she just said it. I pues I have.
I have like a little bit of it. I know things
She
for
said pues.
kitchen.
That's hilarious.
I know how to say to go, para llevar. I know how to say onion, cebolla. I know little things like that. And then I have a decent accent when I speak Spanish.
We have an accent.
Yeah, El Pasoans have an accent.
Yeah, we have a Mexican accent.
We do. It's so funny. I went to
and it's not really Tex-Mex. It's more Juarez accent.
100%. It's its own regional thing.
It's what they call pocho.
Pocho?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So pocho's like an American that's Mexican. That has a Mexican heritage or like a family, and the Mexican people don't like pocho people.
Why?
Because they're like lower class.
Oh.
There's a class system in Mexico.
And I think a lot of it has to do with skin color too, because they don't like being dark.
Yeah.
I love in the summer I tan. I like getting nice and crispy. And I have friends that are terrified of getting dark.
Yeah, they're always carrying an umbrella in a city that never rains.
Yes, so that they don't get the sun rays.
I'm looking at the.
You're like, what are you doing?
There's not one cloud. There's a bunch of chemtrails.
Yeah, there's a ton of chemtrails.
But there's no clouds.
Every time you say Mexican American, who is the comedians that would always smoke? And they're
Cheech and Chong?
Cheech and Chong, yes. Okay. There is a song that Cheech would sing. Mexican Americans. You know this one?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I don't know all of it, but Mexican Americans like education, so they go to night school and take Spanish and get a B. Mexican Americans, and he says all these different like funny things about Mexican Americans. And then Chong is like, "Hey man, I know a song too," and he goes, "Beaners, beaners," and he just keeps saying that, and he's like, "That's all I got so far," and it's so funny. I just love it. I love it, love it, love
See,
it.
and I think that's the difference between the Mexican people is they can laugh at themselves.
Hmm. We have fun.
You know what I mean?
But I was saying,
Like you
they're
remember
mean to
that?
me
You remember that guy that
because I don't speak Spanish.
he's a white dude
Which one?
and he's like an internet personality, you know, and he's an idiot. He usually tries to pick up girls and get their numbers.
Okay.
But he goes to colleges and does this.
Okay.
But he went to colleges and he was dressed like a mariachi.
Oh.
You remember this one?
Yeah.
And then he would go to
Are you offended?
yeah, he would go to people and he would ask them if they were offended.
He had a
And-
mustache taped on.
Yeah, and all of the
Poncho.
white American Karens were
That's
like,
offensive.
"Oh my God, bro! Like, I
That's
can't
cultural appropriation.
I can't believe it," you know. And they were so mad. And then whenever he would go to a Mexican person,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Boss, you look great, Holmes."
Yeah,
And he was like,
I love it. I love it, man.
he's like, "Love it. Let me take a picture with you." And they would like, you know,
Yeah,
post
because
it on
it's
the.
not offensive.
No, they don't
It's
care.
it's not offensive.
They don't
No,
care. They don't
absolutely not.
It's because they're not all in their feelings.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
They're like
There's more important things to worry about than a dude with a taped on mustache. It's just not a big deal.
and I think it's funny. Like me, I can laugh at myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you have to be able to laugh at yourself. But people, they take everything way too
Mhm,
serious. You know,
mhm.
and I'm like. I have a Mexican heritage. Like my grandmother was from Mexico,
Mhm,
you know, and that I have a bunch of family in Juarez, you
mhm.
know, and I see them all the time. And it's funny, I'll go to like family things, and you know, they're like, "Who's this white dude?" You know,
Who's this tall white dude?
and it's funny because my family is white.
Mhm.
Like even the ones from Mexico, they're white.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that. There's a lot of Spaniard
Yeah, well, that's
heritage
everybody.
in Mexico.
Everybody that invaded Mexico were Europeans.
Yes. Yes.
Who are white people.
And there's a lot of
Spaniards are not moreno.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
moreno means like
Darker skin.
darker skin, brown hair, brown eyes.
Mhm.
That's moreno.
I'm a morena.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're like a little bit.
A little bit. Am I a
Yeah.
coconut? I'm a coconut.
Yeah, you're like a valley girl, morena.
I
You know what I mean?
I know.
Oh my
I
God.
do. Oh my god. Ew.
Is that clueless? Is that clueless?
Yeah, there's some clueless in there.
Get off of me.
Ew. Don't touch me. What did she say?
She used to say something. I remember
Yeah.
all the girls used to say it. Oh my God. I think it was.
OMG.
Yeah. So, I don't know where we're going with all this, but
I was saying that Mexicans are mean to me because I don't speak Spanish. I get treated really
my
poorly.
wife does it too. And my wife's more morena,
Mm-hmm.
but she kind of looks almost Indian. People tell me that she looks a little
She
Indian.
does not look Indian at all. She's
No?
very fair.
Hmm.
She has really dark black hair.
She's got black
Yeah.
hair, like jet
but
black hair.
she's fair.
Yeah.
I
But they get mad at her too.
Yeah, I get it ugly. The only time I've really experienced any kind of racism is from brown people assuming that I can speak Spanish.
Because they
And
go to you and they talk to you in Spanish,
Yeah.
and then you're like,
And I'm like, but I'm nice about it. I'm like, I'm so sorry I don't speak Spanish. And I'll pull out my translation app or I'll try really hard. And one time I had a lady, I asked somebody to translate. And this lady ended up speaking perfect English with no accent or anything. Perfect English. But she wanted me to struggle. I found somebody to help. And then she later screamed at me and called me a dirty pig in Spanish. Because my skin is so dark because it was summer, and it was.
It's because you're pocho.
Well, that's messed up. Don't
Yeah.
be mean to me because I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, you're pocho.
And you know what? My dad chose not to teach us Spanish on purpose.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
He wanted
In
us.
the Mexican culture,
Yes.
when they came over here, they
Mhm.
wanted to Americanize you.
Yes.
That generation is dead.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Well,
you know what I mean? Where their parents is like, you're not gonna learn it because you're gonna be an American, and Americans speak English. And it was like a whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
you
And my
know?
dad's was a little different. So he did not speak any English as a kid, and he learned how to speak English watching Big Bird. What's that show? Sesame Street.
That's
He
funny.
watched TV and learned English. And he was like this skinny little dark boy. He was so cute. I love my dad's pictures when he was little.
Mm-hmm.
And they were treated really, really poorly when they'd speak Spanish at school by the teachers.
There was racism in El Paso.
Major, major, horrible racism. They had them in different school.
We had a segregation in El
Yes,
Paso.
yes. They had to go to a different school.
That's that mayor. They have the mayor's mansion in Central El Paso that you can go visit. Did you know about this?
Mm-mm.
And what it is all the mayors used to be on the west side.
Mhm.
All the white people used to be on the west side.
Mhm.
And then all the Mexican people used to be in the lower valley
Mhm.
and in the upper valley because that's where all the farming was.
Mhm.
Right? And then I want to say it's McGoffin, but I might be saying it wrong. And he moved his house when he got elected. He moved the mayor's house to Central El Paso where everybody was mixed. And he says, we are a city of both races, and we're not going to be a racist city. And he moved the mayor's house to downtown,
I did not
to
know
the central area, and it was a symbol of American culture. And I think that's why El Paso has always been a unique place in the country when it comes to race. We were the same place that we had the whole the UTEP miners, which were I forget what they called them before. They were not the miners. They were
But that basketball
the
team.
Glory Road
Yes,
thing.
that
with,
Glory Road movie.
What was it called? The University of Texas in El Paso. No, that's UTEP.
Let me look it up.
And they had the first college championship team that had a bunch of a starting five of all blacks, right? In El Paso, where there's no black people in El Paso, like very few black people in El Paso, you know?
Well, we have some, especially because of
Fort Bliss. But back then we did it.
Oh.
So he went to these other places.
Texas Western College.
Yeah, Texas Western. That's what it was. He went to all these other places and recruited them.
Brought them here.
Yeah, and then he gave them scholarships and whatever. And in the movie, you ever seen the movie?
I have.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I just like
when they go to Juarez.
My favorite part was when they're eating food and it was like they were like in the line, you know, and they're like, he's like, "What do you guys have? It's tacos." And he's like, "Okay, what else? Enchiladas." And he's like, "What else?" He's like, "Rolled tacos." And he's like, "You don't have no chicken, you know, like, you know what I mean?" And
that's how it is now at my kids' school.
Yeah,
The ladies get down in the kitchen at
dude,
my
I want
girls'
to go eat there.
school. It's good.
Maybe I should do my taco review at in your school.
That would be amazing.
That would be funny, right? And take a picture with the green ladies.
Hey.
I always call them green ladies.
Why?
Because they always wear green.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe that was just my school.
I think that was just your school.
Yeah.
But with my dad, they didn't let him speak English and they were really, really ugly about it. And so with us, he didn't want us to struggle. So he asked a family member who was a professor. I think he's a professor.
What was your maiden name?
Marquez.
Sí.
Vanessa.
Puro Mexicana.
Marquez.
That's why they're mad at you. But now you're Williams.
Now I'm Williams.
So you can get away with
stuff.
Well,
if you Google Vanessa Williams, she's a famous person.
I know. You're right here. You're right here.
Woman. Oh, no. I love me some Vanessa Williams. But he asked a family member, and they were like, you know what? Teach them English first so they don't have an accent, and then teach them Spanish. And that definitely was a mistake. I would love to know Spanish. And I even tried. I'm going to learn it one day.
Yeah, you know what works best?
Tell me.
I have it in my garage.
What is it?
It's the Pemsler technique.
Okay.
Pemsler? I think I'm saying it right. And you learn it to music.
I love music. Yes. And I can learn things with music.
Yeah. So you just put the CDs in your car.
Okay.
If you still have a CD player.
I do.
And then you just go through the thing and it's like you know, carro, da, 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 and you just sing along with the songs, and it teaches you Spanish. Because I don't want to read Spanish.
No.
I don't want to write Spanish.
No.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And I learned with music. So I did the Rosetta Stone for
I did
years.
that, and I could not
I
pick it
did
up.
it for years, and then I did another
And it was
one.
expensive.
Yeah, Rosetta Stone was expensive. I still have the Rosetta Stone, but the Pamsler worked for me. I learned a
That would
lot
work for me.
because I just listened to it all the time, and then I
Mhm.
just picked it up.
I sing like Shakira, Pitbull, like all of those in Espanol.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Corazón espinado. We're gonna sing Maná, right?
Yes, let's do it.
So corazón espinado is like a heart that's got thorns on it. A thorned heart.
Corazón. Okay. Oh,
A heart of thorns.
well,
That's a lot of Latinas.
yeah.
No, just kidding.
Toxicas.
But
yeah.
Okay, moving on. So we did have an issue that happened in El Paso.
So
We're barely
with
getting to
the point of what we were trying to say. So with that big group that came in, 1,000 people one night got over.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of where the border is highways. The border freeway.
Mm-hmm.
If you get
So the border freeway is like a big circle around the city of El Paso.
It's like a loop now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It goes all around El Paso.
Around.
You can go around the whole city, and then there's an X that goes through El Paso, and it's I-10. So I-10, you can go from LA to Florida on I-10.
Yeah.
And then 54 goes up and down through El Paso. So it's just like a big X with a circle.
Yeah. So when people are crossing the border and running, they are running through very, very busy
You're going
highways.
70, 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, we're supposed to be going 60. We're not. We're in Texas. We don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that.
So a lot of
90.
people, yeah. So a lot of people have been running across these and getting hit, and it's been devastating. It's been so scary and sad.
We, as an El Paso city, do not watch out for pedestrians, even in residential areas.
Where there are
because
clearly going to be pedestrians.
Nobody walks anywhere in El Paso because
we don't.
We drive everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everything
it's too hot in the
you
summer.
can, and then you can also get everywhere pretty good because we don't have bad traffic.
No.
Our traffic's not as bad.
15, 30 minutes tops.
You can get anywhere.
Anywhere in El Paso.
Yeah.
So one night, a couple nights ago, a kid, they keep saying kid, I don't know how old, I'm imagining like a teenager, was running across the freeway, I-10, and got hit by a car. It was at nighttime, and his head was severed. It was pretty much decapitated. And they were
El Paso's a big drinking town. You know what I mean?
And it was
it's at nighttime. These guys probably toasted.
It's
going 80, 90 miles an hour.
But even if that person wasn't toasted, and you're going 80 miles, you can't stop.
And you can't swerve.
Because there's other cars next to you, so you slam on your brakes and hope you miss them. And they didn't miss them. And it's just really, really sad.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe the guy in front of him slammed on his brake, and the other guy goes around him. You know what I mean?
You have no idea. There's hundreds of cars on the freeway, and so this kid, whoever this person was, an illegal immigrant, got hit, and people on the freeway stopped and were trying to like assist, and the head wasn't with the body. It was not good. It's devastating, and for the person that hit that person,
it messed you up for life.
It's devastating.
Yeah,
it's so sad.
Yeah.
So
and then they had the cops and the EMT that had to show up and see that.
See it. It's just really sad. It's so dangerous. It's just so dangerous. And then in Mexico, because I feel bad for Juarez. Juarez is our sister city, and they're being inundated with all these people.
Yeah, they don't like them either.
No, they don't.
They protest in Juarez. And in Mexico against all this. They want to stop them at their border.
But they're violently pushing their way through their border at the bottom of Mexico.
And it's also because the cartels are the ones that are really running this whole show. It's not
they're making billions off of this.
Yeah, because they're charging the people from coming over there, and then they're raping them and selling them and doing whatever they can to get. So they're just like filtering through all these people
until they finally get here.
And
it's devastating. So in Juarez, a big group of people were, I don't know exactly what they were doing, but the only thing the media is talking about is they were panhandling. but they were doing a lot more stuff to where Mexico was actually going to deport these people.
Mm,
So they put them in a facility for migrants,
hmm
and they were going to be deporting them because they're acting up. If Mexico doesn't even want these people in their country, do we want? And I'm not saying all these people, I'm saying these specific people. So in protest, these people lit their mattresses on fire in this facility in
In
Juarez.
wars,
Yes,
yeah.
in this facility, and they're locked up in this facility, and they caused a
It's like
huge
it's
fire.
not a prison.
It's not a prison, but it looked prison-ish. It looked like, because I got to see some of the footage of it, it looks like a big common room behind bars type of thing. Like there's people, like many people in there in that one place where they lit the fire.
So it's like a warehouse or something.
Kind of. It looks prison-ish.
Mm,
And they were locked
maybe
up.
it's
They
like
were
a
behind
camp.
bars.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
a camp or
Yes.
something.
Yeah. Because they can't be coming in and out because they're acting up. You know what I mean?
And then
And
they're
going to
not
be
supposed to be
deported.
there. They're not supposed
Yeah.
to be there. Yeah.
So they started a fire and 40 people died. There's reports of 38, 39, 40.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a lot.
And the Mexican news, they don't take they don't do. They'll show you what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They'll show you carnage.
They'll
Like I've
show
seen
you carnage.
I've seen people that share stuff on social media, and it's from like a Mexican national like
News
source, like an official branded news source
Mm-hmm.
that, and they'll show people hanging on the bridges
Because the
or
cartel will do that.
yeah,
They'll hang people and then put signs on them and things like warning other people.
they'll drag them in their car.
But I think
you
that
know.
they show all of that because the cartel wants them to show it. I think
It's all connected. The cartel's running everything.
they're
in
trying
Mexico.
to give fear,
Mhm.
and what better way than to
The only
show it.
way that they could get rid of the cartel is if they do what they did in El Salvador.
What they do?
Did you hear what happened in El Salvador? El Salvador used to be run by the gangsters, and the this new president in El Salvador literally did like martial law,
Oh wow.
and like he locked them all up, and then he got all of the leaders. And then anytime they would start doing stuff outside, he would torture the leaders. Because the leaders were sending, orders from prison to do stuff.
Oh, because they were locked up.
Because they were locked up. And so then he started torturing them. And then he would they were like bare bones. They were always in their chonies. They didn't have nothing. They were like...
when was this?
This is like this year. Yeah, and they were the crime capital of the world. They had the most per capita violence in the world. This El Salvador, and he's the same president that created Bitcoin as their currency.
Oh,
yeah.
I need to look into this guy.
Yeah,
I didn't know about that.
And their crime went from like something crazy to like nothing. Like they don't have any crime anymore. And it was all that MS-13 stuff.
And it's violent. It's so ugly.
And it is crazy. They show them like moving their prisoners, and the prisoners are like this, and then are like they're bent over on they're like this, and then the other guy in front of him is like laying on the other guy.
Ay, ay, ay.
With just chonies. Like these guys are like
they're being tortured.
They are not playing. They are not playing. And they went with the big old stick, and they said, "We're done. We're done." And he pulled out all the stops, and I think he hired a bunch of foreign people to run the prisons.
Ooh.
Something like that.
Like the French Legion. Could you imagine?
Yeah, because you could, America could easily fix Mexico's problem. Easily. Just with like that. All we do is we just go over there. We have 10 prisons, you know what I mean, around it. We hire, 5,000 people, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
And it's over. And Mexico's problem is done. And you just do the same thing for like 5 years, and then all the cartels are gone.
Yeah.
The problem is that there's so much money being made. They're trafficking people.
Yes.
They're trafficking drugs. All the drugs come from the Mexico border. You know what I mean? Like they're no longer going in boats and all this stuff to Florida. No, they're just coming across the border. Like
Mhm.
it's just
Mhm.
we just know it, and
Yeah.
it's um that's what it is, and it's just like I saw one time they were throwing it was a catapult over the fence. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I did.
They were throwing drugs in a catapult.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That's just hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. And like there's so many safe houses here in America that they've set up.
Every they say every 10 houses has a stash house in El
Oh,
Paso.
stop. I
Every
believe it.
10 houses.
I believe it 100, especially now
Mm-hmm.
with how things are now, I believe it. I know a guy that went through the police academy here, and they were giving them stats on different things like that. And one of them was half of all the businesses
Are
are
drug related.
laundering money for the cartels.
I
And
believe it.
not necessarily half of every physical business, but every, like on paper, all the businesses in El
Mm-hmm.
Paso, half of them are laundering money.
Mm-hmm. I came across one.
No.
Yeah, 100%. So, because I used to do like mailings
Oh, yeah.
to motivated seller type
Yes, for
people,
like houses.
and I would do a lot of research for different businesses and peoples and stuff. And then I came across this business that had these same initials for
Mm.
it was like M&M Construction,
Mm-hmm.
and it was M&M Laundry Services, M&M Maintenance, M&M Automotive, M&M Transmission Services, M&M Paint Shop, M&M
All kinds.
anything M&M. And it was this, and then I looked it up, and it was the same owner for all of them. And then I looked up the guy's name, and then I got his phone number.
Oh my gosh.
So I called this guy,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Hey, I saw," because he had a property that was getting foreclosed on,
Okay.
and it was under this
M&M whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
I want to say it was M&M, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then I started calling the numbers because you could skip trace.
Mm-hmm.
This was 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I call him, and he's like, "How did you get this number?" And I was like, "Well, this is what I did." And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Lose this number right now."
Oh.
And I was like, "All right."
Lost. Deleted.
Yeah, and it was just funny that it was like that. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Yeah, because this guy probably was like there's this house over here. Have you ever been on that house? I think it's on Wrestler, right before you get to, I don't know, whatever that street that
Is it
Artcraft turns into, and it has like a big whole slide, and it's like a
Oh,
three-story
yeah.
building. You ever
Oh,
seen
yeah,
that
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Like, I think one of the Zaragoza owns it. You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
like a compound right there
There's
on.
huge walls
Yeah, yeah.
and like
They're like got to be
gates.
30-foot tall walls.
Yeah. Gates. I never knew it was a house though. Everyone,
It's one guy's house, and he doesn't
uh,
even live there. It's like his extra house.
damn.
That's how
There's a
much money they
huge
have.
water slide.
That's how much
Neat.
money. Yeah, it's
Oh,
It's
no.
stupid money. Yeah. So, and it's not even like somebody from El Paso. This is like a Mexican. I think it's a Zaragoza. So the Zaragozas own all of the natural gas in Mexico.
Oh.
They have a monopoly on all the natural gas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they live here?
Yeah. And most of Mexico runs on like propane.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They don't
Mhm.
run on like how we have
Yeah.
natural gas.
pumped through.
So they have like that monopoly over there in like propane and natural gas.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that it's a big scam. It's a big freaking mafia.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine the Italian mafia ran United States. Like
Mhm.
that's Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the the Sinaloa and all those big cartels in Mexico. Like that's literally what runs it now. It's like they tell the president what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's just afraid of them because they'll go further than anybody's willing to go.
And I know so many people that have died. Literally, I know 3 people that lost their dads when they were young
Mm.
in a very brutal way because the cartel murdered them.
Mm-hmm.
And you assume that they did that because they were in bed with them in some capacity,
Mm-hmm.
but you never really know too because like if you have a business, it used to be this way. I'm sure it kind of still is. If you have a business out there they'll come in and say, you need to pay us so that we can protect you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose not to pay them, then they'll burn down your business or they'll hurt you. And so I don't know exactly what happened with those 3 girls that I know, but like they were brutally murdered. And I know 3 girls that happened to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really sad.
It's
I
bad.
feel bad for the people, you know. It's just
It's really bad, and sometimes it gets really, really bad. So they'll manipulate the government by saying, like, that's what happened but in the San,
the one that got it under control.
yeah, gosh, I can't think of it.
You just said it.
Squirrel.
That president must have so much security around him.
Yeah, for sure, right? And so, but that's what they used to do is that the leaders from inside of the prison would do violence, and they would say, if you don't let me out, then I'm gonna burn down your factory or I'm gonna burn down this, and then they would just let them out.
Mm-hmm.
They would use blackmail to blackmail everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like, okay, if you do that, I'm gonna torture you. I'm gonna pull
because I have you.
I'm gonna pull your fingernails out. I'm gonna, cut your toes off. Like horrible stuff to these guys. And once they don't have to do it a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to do it where everybody knows you're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they, yeah, people are complaining around the world, all the Karens, but the violence has stopped.
Mm-hmm. Jeez, that's crazy. I need to look into that.
It is nuts. It is nuts. So, yeah, it's sad. I don't know the solution to it all. I think that really the main thing is that we need to stand up. The people need to stand up. The people need to get access to guns. Because only the criminals have guns.
In Mexico, only the criminals have guns.
Yeah, and they all get them from us because we traffic guns over there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's so sad. Yep. And then here on this side, what Trump did when he was president, and he made it so that he made it harder so that if you broke the law and came over here, you wouldn't necessarily have access to get citizenship. And so you had to follow the rules. And if you didn't, there would be consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need to do. And right now, there's no consequences. And there's regulations and rules on how to do it. So when you come over here, you need to go through a port. You need to let them know, like, you're trying to gain citizenship because of this reason, whatever it may be. And then you start the process. You could also start the paperwork process in your own country. But people are breaking the rules. They're coming over the border, over, through pipes. It's crazy. They're just flooding over. And we just have no control over who's here, how they're here. And I have a friend who works with the government, and he specifically does stuff with Border Patrol and talking about terrorism. There are so many bad guys that get over our border because of the situation that we have right now. It's crazy. And obviously he can't say details because he works for the government, right? And he works with, he gets the terrorists. But it's at a point in his career now where it's scary. The things, and he lives in this community and he sees all the things and he's like, we need to be doing more. And we're not. We're just like, come on in. Why would Biden be doing that?
And
it's on purpose.
Yeah, I think there's a plan for I think a turning over of our currency, and maybe some combination of our currencies becoming one with Mexico and Canada. And if that happens, I think maybe the countries will also dissolve their borders.
You think so?
I think that's where it's going.
Real, like, how long do you think that would take? I feel like each country would fight that. Like, Canada doesn't want to be a part of us. America doesn't want to be a part of Mexico. Mexico, I think, would be down.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're the only ones that are like, yeah,
let's do it.
Get rid of
but
this
Mexico
cartel
would have
problems.
to change a lot.
Yeah, they'd have to get rid of the cartel problems.
Oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. That would be crazy.
Yeah, so
not bad, but just interesting,
Yeah, I think first the monetary system would be combined. So there would be no peso. There would be no Canadian pound.
Well, and
I don't know what they call it.
our money is falling apart right now.
And they're doing it on purpose. It's like a controlled demolition.
That's so crazy. We're watching it happen. It feels like a controlled demolition every day. When a bank is failing or this, that, the other, it's like it's on purpose.
Yeah, it's definitely on purpose.
You're watching it happen, and when they were printing all that money for COVID and all those things, and listening to experts like economists saying like, "You're gonna ruin the economy. What are you doing?" And they're like, "No, we're not. Let's keep doing it." And now everything that they said was going to happen is happening on purpose.
It's crazy. It really is insane. But like I said, I'm very optimistic about what's. They indicted Trump. We haven't even talked about that.
We haven't even talked about that.
They indicted Trump. They haven't arrested him yet.
Yeah.
But they indicted him. And
But
then now finally, what's that dude's name from Florida?
DeSantis?
DeSantis is saying, "Oh yeah, I won't assist you if you want to arrest Trump." Before he was like, "I'm going to stay out of it."
I'm out of it.
And
he
now,
got a lot of backlash for that.
So now he's
like,
saying,
"Oh, okay."
"I'm not going to assist you," and then he, which doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
Because
literally does not mean anything.
He's just saying like you're going to have to send the feds to go get him, or the U.S. Marshal or whatever. And I don't know, man. It's going to be the craziest thing that happens.
And it's still about the Stormy Daniels thing?
It's stupid. Like, we don't care. None of us care.
Did he misappropriate funds for his campaign, or was it his personal money?
I don't even know, and I don't care.
Because if he misappropriated campaign funds, maybe they have a little bit that they can go after.
No.
But not
to the point where you have to arrest him.
No, 1,000,000% no.
Just fine him. Everybody, you know how many politicians do?
Oh, they misappropriate everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like here in El Paso, I see it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like.
Yeah, but
it's not like he took bribe money.
No.
You know what I mean? He just.
It's not like he's working with China.
Oh gosh.
Biden.
Like
all the things we know about Biden and the things that he's doing and the money
they
that
haven't
he's
arrested
taking,
him yet.
And they haven't gone after him.
Not for one thing.
Not for anything.
He's like, "Oh no, the laptop's fake. Oh wait, the
Just
laptop's
kidding, it's real.
Real. Oh, but it didn't have anything in there. Oh well, it does have stuff in there, but like, it's not as important. Oh well, I'm not part of it. Well, I am kind of part of it. Oh, and you're like, dude, this is big. This is like bigger than Watergate. This is bigger than, like this is really Russiagate.
Yeah,
it's really Russiagate.
Yeah, it literally is what they were pretending Trump was doing. Biden and his family were doing, are doing, have been doing for a long time.
I really think that I watched a video from Glenn Beck yesterday. He talked about it. He put on a MAGA hat.
I saw that.
You saw that video?
Oh, you sent it.
Yeah,
you
I
sent
sent
it
to you guys.
Yeah.
And he was saying that they want to incite the right to actually stand up and fight so that they can lock us all down. And so one part of me is like, maybe. Or maybe Glenn Beck is a shill. And he's trying to stop us from rising up. Right? So there's two sides to that same coin.
Yeah. You have to think about both.
I don't know which side is it. Am I going to go get a gun and do something? No.
Absolutely not.
No. Like, if you come to my house, you know what I mean? But when is that point?
That's what I've been thinking this whole time.
When is that point?
When is the point where people stand up for their rights in a big way?
Like the revolution was fought with like 4% of the colony's population.
Yeah, and it feels, that saying about the frog, and you put in the
boiling frog,
water, and they turn on the heat, and it slowly boils until they're dead. We're the frog. We're dead. Like American people are the frog, and we're in that pot, and they've turned on the fire. So at what point do we jump out? Before we boil.
I told my wife, I said that Trump is the only remaining straw that we have. He's the last hope.
He is.
And it's crazy for me to say that.
That's what it feels like, too.
Right? I don't think that there's anybody that could that I could trust to actually do what what needs to be done.
I feel like he's going to buy us 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think he could do anything that will have a long-term effect? Because the second he was out of office, Biden undid everything.
Mm-hmm.
If like all of the things he did with the
I think also he was holding back a little bit because he wanted to get that next term.
so you think he's gonna go ham
Mm-hmm.
and fix a lot of stuff?
Mm-hmm. Because he'll be done.
Yeah.
And then if he can build enough of a coalition and clean up enough of the bureaucracy and the the swamp, there could be hope.
And he has to start right away the second he gets into office.
Yeah, and he has to just he found out that way to fire people that work for the government that no one else had. I remember I told you about it. So
yeah,
we'll see. I hope. But if not, we're gonna be moving out to the boonies somewhere. We have
I
to.
was telling Jake that last night, especially being on this border. It's every day we're getting swamped with people, flooded with
We don't know
people.
who these people are, and we're right here on a military base.
Yes, it's getting hairy, and
I wouldn't even know where I would go.
I know. I love El Paso.
Yeah, I it's like, do we just go to the outskirts?
Yes.
Like Fabens or something.
Well, but then like with Fabens, there's still
a border there.
And there's stuff happening over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of trafficking right there.
There's trafficking, and cartel has a lot of
influence
in
Fabens, yeah.
And it's gorgeous. Like the farmland there is so pretty. It's out in the outskirts. You're still close to the city. But my gut tells me it's a no-go for Fabens.
What about the other way? You like New Mexico?
I like New Mexico better.
There's water in New Mexico.
Yeah, there's lots of water. There's a lot of different places with water. I like New Mexico. The New Mexican government is very, very Democrat.
Sus. Yeah.
Super sus. Very corrupt. But I would be more willing to go that way than Fabens.
Yeah, because we could win over a little town like La Mesa to be a conservative town through politics.
Yeah.
Like,
well, especially with everything going on.
If we get 300 people and move to like a La Mesa, we could change the politics in that town. Easy.
100%. It's different, and then there's a lot of Indian reservations in different parts of New Mexico. There's a lot there that has potential. My gut feels safer there than it does.
Yeah, and in New Mexico the taxes are low. They do have a state income tax though.
Even shipping things. My sister lived in Sunland, but it was like off Boy Scout. So it was in El Paso. But I would ship things to her because it would be crazy cheaper. I guess the taxes, I'd save like $20. I sent my iPad there and I saved $20.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just in sales tax?
Just in tax, I believe. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Because I was on my app.
I know a lot of people do that with their cars.
Oh.
They do the registration in New Mexico.
Yes.
I see that all the time.
It frustrates me to see Mexican plates on our roads with people that I know that are living here. Because if you're going to live here, participate. Pay the taxes. Do the things. Like, it's frustrating. Like, be here, but pay your taxes. Do your part.
I think it's also because they're just residents. And then it's so hard to become a citizen in the United States.
But they can have houses and they can own everything and do all the things, but
then they go to the manifestos and they do all that.
Yeah. Or get their taxes back when they go shopping.
That's the manifestos.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can wrap your mind around this, for some stupid reason, we have a thing where you go shopping in the United States
for anything.
If you're not an American, and then you go to the manifestos at the mall. And then you go take your receipt, and then they give you all your tax money back.
They will pay you your taxes back.
If you're not an American citizen.
Yeah. They used to do that at the Sam's that I worked at in Central Texas.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So people would just come. They wouldn't even buy anything at Sam's. They would just come, and they would get their taxes paid back. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a big scam going on with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
all this stuff is a scam. Just like the food stamps, you know, we all know people that sell their food stamps.
How do you sell food stamps?
So, like, you would give me your Lone Star card.
Oh, and then you would
You would
pay
give
for
you
it.
money.
So there'd be an amount.
Yeah, like every month they get like $600.
Okay.
So I'll give you $300.
And you
You
get
get
$600
$600.
worth of food.
And then you use your money on drugs or whatever you want to use it on.
I didn't ever. I was like, how do they switch hands?
Yeah,
But
it's just
they
a
just
card.
give their card.
Just give their card.
That's crazy.
And then if the deal doesn't, then they go to the place and say, "Oh, I lost my
I
card."
lost my card. Oh my gosh. When I worked at Sam's, there would be people that would buy full-size candy bars with their food stamps. And I understand, like, if somebody wants, like, you
A
know,
birthday or something.
yeah, like, I'm not judgmental about it. It is shitty when people misuse things. But they literally was like $300 worth of full-size candy bars. So I'm thinking they're probably selling them, you know, making money off of it.
Or they're taking it to their store.
Oh.
Yeah, they take it to the little store, you know, the little convenience store in a little neighborhood downtown.
And then they'll sell it to
And then
them.
sell it.
Yeah.
And all those people, they go to them and they give their cards.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's how they do it. So they'll sell the cards to the business.
I had no idea. And then people will go to the.
And then they'll sell them beer.
Oh.
That's what a lot of those guys do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
Puro tranza.
Yeah. That's
It's
hardcore.
pure, I don't know what tranza translates to, but
And
it's like pure, like, illegal deal.
it's for people that need help. It's a beautiful thing, you know. You lose your job, you have a death or whatever, you know, like whatever it may be. If somebody needs help, it's awesome. But so many people misuse it.
Oh, gosh.
I know a lot of people that won't work full time so that they can continue to get,
Yeah.
or won't get married, or will pretend that they're not with people that they are. They're not living in the house and they are.
So they can get housing.
So they can get housing, so that, you know, and if you need help, and it's cool that there's help there. Like, nobody should starve in America. That should not be a thing. We want everybody to do good. But it sucks when people use the system and don't participate in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's a big scam.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. And the things that you can buy with it, you can buy anything that's food, pretty much. And that's like, you don't need to be buying boxes and boxes of full-size candy bars.
Yeah, there's
That's
no
not
way
a
for them
need.
to regulate it, you
Yeah.
know. That's the difference with WIC.
Okay.
So WIC, you can get that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's for when you're pregnant or early on
Okay.
with the baby,
Mm-hmm.
and you go to the little supermarket,
Mm-hmm.
and it has milk, cheese, eggs,
It's specific.
basics.
Okay.
This is these basic core foods. They should connect WIC with food stamps and just do that, and have little stores that you can just get the basics. You know, you can get your
the food,
your
the
bread.
good stuff that you need.
Yeah, like you don't need candy, you don't need cake. You know, you don't need like I've seen people in with like nothing but ribeye steaks, you know, at Sam's. And I'm like, you know, or lobster or whatever. You could buy lobster with the food stamps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you getting lobster? Like, dude, this is a filet mignon. And they're like, yeah, that's what we, you know. And I'm like, they're like, this freaking guy. And they always hide it. And then they get in their Mercedes Benz because they're drug dealers, you know what I mean? And you're like, these freaking guys.
Yeah.
They use the system. But I think that's why I think the more localized you can make the giving, the better, you know? Washington, D.C., they should not be involved with food stamps. It should be a state-run, local municipality, church that helps these people out.
Yeah.
I don't want it from the top down from some idiot in Washington, D.C. and with the spreadsheet.
I have a friend that used to live in Washington, and she was the person that you would call she would verify all the paperwork that you filled out for like the food stamps and housing program. And she lived in a very, very, very wealthy community.
Mm-hmm.
She only did her community. And what is it? She was like Potomac. I think that's where she lived. Is that in Washington?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've never been.
It's all very, very, very wealthy people. All of it. There's no like underprivileged people there, or whatever word. And she said it was a lot of doctors that were like Indian or Chinese or whatever that were citizens, and they would bring their parents over, and their parents would live with them. Obviously, they're going to take care of their parents, and they're very, very wealthy people. And just to live there, you have to be wealthy. They would bring their parents over, and their parents would try to scam the government and get food, housing, assistance for housing, and especially healthcare. And her county got really like a name for being like hard asses and for catching these people. And she would tell me that she'd be talking to these people, and she's like, "Okay, and where do you live?" "Oh, I live here." "Oh, and is that with your son?" Yes, it is. I live with my son." "And how much is your rent?" "Oh, it's $2,500. "Your son is charging you for rent?" And they would just pretend. They just make up numbers and to try to get assistance. But they didn't need assistance. And I was asking her about it. I was like, why? Like, I feel like I'd be embarrassed if I asked my mom to do that, and I could very much afford it. And she was like, no, it's like a point of pride for a lot of them. And that they can, like, they want to get everything that they can get out of it and pay less.
There is a sickness in El Paso, and it's a poverty mentality, and that poverty mentality is, I gotta get over on you so that I can get ahead.
Yes.
That's the thing. That's why if you're driving in El Paso and you turn your blinker on, the people next to you will speed up.
I had that happen to me like 7 times today.
Yeah, because they like in other places in Texas, they don't do
That
that.
doesn't happen.
Right? And it's because I have to get over on you to get ahead.
Yeah, you're not getting in front of me.
Like,
totally
you don't
right.
cut in line in El Paso.
Yeah.
Like, you will get called out.
Oh, I had a lady think I was cutting because she was new to the school. There's 2 lines that merge, and she cut me off, got out of her car, screamed at me, and I literally was like, "Are you new? Like, that's not how it works here." And she was like, "You're not getting in front of me." She was ready to like fight me. And I was like, "You're crazy." And then I saw her the next day, and she realized she was doing it wrong. But she tried to fight me. I locked my door. I cracked my window. "Are you new? What are you doing?"
Crazy.
Crazy.
You're like,
I know. Well, and we carry.
yeah, but you're at the school. You don't want to do that.
No, 1,000,000%. Well, and when I pick up the girls, I don't carry because they go on campus. So.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yeah, and the road rage. It's crazy.
Well, I think that's enough for today.
I agree.
I don't know how long we went.
I can't see it. Oh, 1:13. But we talked a lot before.
Yeah, we did. But I think that's good. I think we have a unique perspective on this whole border issue that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, and it's scary.
Yeah, you have to be careful, and it's also you have to understand it properly. It's not a racial thing. It's not an anti-immigration thing.
No.
It's an anti the way that the government is doing it. Like, really, we need to make it easy to become citizen. We need to have the worker visa program back open up again, and we need to have a proper border protection so that we don't let other crazy people from other countries into our country. And then also tragic things don't happen, like what happened on the freeway.
It's devastating.
You know,
and that's
nobody
happened
wants to
a
see
lot.
that. Like, imagine that was your kid that was driving the car. You know what I mean? And they're messed up for life. Like my
Forever.
son. Like my son, he's driving his car and he's just coming back from watching a movie or something, and and he has to deal with this for the rest of his life. He has nightmares and has to go to counseling. Like, no.
Nobody wants that.
We don't
and
want
then that kid that got hit and his family.
Yeah.
It's devastating.
Yeah, we don't.
Nobody wants this
It's
happening.
it's stupid. It's a
It
stupid
is.
problem.
I posted it and I tagged Governor Abbott because Abbott's not doing shit. He's not doing anything. And he could do more, and he isn't. He's like, oh no, this is bad. Biden, you need to do something. No, Abbott, you need to do something.
Yeah.
We're
He needs
being
to send.
invaded. We're being attacked right now. Our community is so dangerous right now.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's a stupid problem.
Thank God we have a wall here.
Yeah, and you know it's funny. You see, Abbott didn't build it. Trump didn't build it. Clinton built it. Clinton built our wall here, and it's huge.
And we needed it because people were coming over and robbing and stealing.
Yeah, and it was huge, a huge wall. It's got to be 20 foot high.
Yeah, it's ginormous.
30 feet tall.
And it goes deep, and then all the technology involved nowadays with it.
And it stops people. They still get over, but it stops them.
And it slows them down until Border Patrol can get to them, too.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But if you guys like this content and you want to hear more chisme.
Yes, that's gossip. Chisme.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, comment, let all your friends know.
Yes. And
hit the bell icon and buy our merch because I'm sure we'll have merch by now.
All the things.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.